1 minute ago, Angelina Jolie's daughter exposed Brad Pitt's secret. On May 27, 2024, her 18th birthday, Shiloh Jolie filed official court documents in Los Angeles to legally drop Pitt from her name. She hired her own attorney, paid for it herself. The judge approved it without objection. No public statement, no press conference. But behind this legal move sits one of Hollywood's most bitter, unresolved family wars. For years, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie tried to present a calm front. Publicly, they insisted the children were adjusting, that healing was taking place, that everything was slowly finding balance. But behind Hollywood's carefully polished gates, the reality was far more painful, far more fractured. Since their highly publicized split in 2016, triggered by that now infamous plane incident, the Jolie-Pitt household divided into two emotional worlds. Angelina, fiercely protective, raised their 6 children, largely within her orbit. She was, by all accounts, the steady center of their daily lives. The court granted her primary physical custody, allowing Brad visitation, but what played out behind the legal arrangements was far messier. While Brad fought to stay connected, insiders say it was always uphill. Despite joint custody battles and his efforts to be present, his bond with the children began slipping. Quietly, slowly, but unmistakably. Sources close to the situation whispered the same chilling phrase over and over. The kids were growing distant, and Brad knew it. At first, the signs were subtle, barely noticeable to anyone not paying attention. But for those watching closely, the children were sending quiet signals that something deeper was shifting. Zahara, during her public sorority induction at Spelman College, introduced herself not as Zahara Jolie-Pitt, but as Zahara Marley Jolie, a clear, deliberate drop of the Pitt surname. Vivienne, just as quietly, followed suit in the professional world. When she appeared as a co-producer in the Broadway play The Outsiders, her name was listed as simply Vivienne Jolie. No hyphen, no trace of her father's name. And while these choices were subtle, they were not accidental. Each one chipped away at the public illusion that everything was fine. Each one raised the same question behind closed doors. Were these small gestures of independence, or were they silent statements? Brad, meanwhile, was quietly fighting his own battle, one that no camera crew ever captured. Friends close to him described the heartbreak that few in the public ever saw. He loves his children. He misses them. It's very sad, one insider shared. To the public, Brad Pitt was still smiling on red carpets, still producing movies, still showing up as Hollywood's golden star. But behind closed doors, his role as father was being slowly rewritten without him, and there was little he could do to stop it. Was this just typical teenage rebellion, natural independence, or was something far more painful brewing beneath the surface? Was this the long, slow consequence of wounds that had never truly healed since the 2016 breakdown? And then, one child finally made a move that no one could ignore. And then, the moment came. On May 27th, 2024, her 18th birthday, Shiloh Jolie took the step no one publicly expected, but everyone behind the scenes feared. She filed official legal documents with the Los Angeles County Superior Court to drop her father's name from her identity. No more Jolie-Pitt. From that moment forward, she wanted to be legally recognized as Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie. But what truly stunned insiders wasn't just the paperwork, it was how she did it. Shiloh hired her own private attorney. She used her own personal funds. She handled every detail of the legal process independently. According to insiders, Angelina Jolie wasn't involved in any way. There were no public interviews, no fiery statements, no press circus. Shiloh's decision was silent, calculated, and irreversible. California law requires that name change petitions be publicly announced. Shiloh's request was published quietly in the Los Angeles Times, running for 4 consecutive weeks in June and July 2024, just as state law demands. Most fans had no idea this was even happening, but legally every box was checked, every paper filed, every requirement met. There was one brief delay, routine, but still symbolic. The court postponed her initial hearing because of a background check backlog. Nothing unusual, her attorney explained, but for Brad, each day the paperwork sat pending only prolonged the inevitable. Finally, without opposition, a judge quietly signed the order. On record, in permanent legal ink, she became Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie, no longer carrying Brad's name. One insider close to the situation summed up the emotional weight behind this decision in 7 brutal words. For Brad, this wasn't just paperwork, it was the final crack, the one he couldn't patch up. Because this time, unlike media rumors or temporary headlines, the decision was official, binding, public record, a clear legal declaration that Shiloh no longer wanted to carry any piece of her father's surname. And it wasn't an isolated event. The signs had been building for years. Zahara had already introduced herself as Zahara Marley Jolie. Vivienne had quietly listed her name as Vivienne Jolie on Broadway production credits. Now, with Shiloh, once considered Brad's closest child, making this move, the family pattern was unmistakable. Multiple insiders said this latest move hit Brad the hardest. He's putting on a brave face, but behind closed doors, this devastated him, a source revealed. Because for years, even as distance grew, Brad believed Shiloh might be the one child he could hold on to. Their bond was once seen as strong, but with this legal decision, even that thread seemed to snap. What could drive Shiloh, once described as her father's mirror image, to take such a definitive public step? Was this her own emancipation, a final statement about her loyalty, or was it the inevitable result of tensions that had been boiling beneath the surface for years? Because even this decision may have been shaped by hidden tensions that go back far longer than anyone realized. What most fans never saw, what the headlines barely touched, was just how long this war had quietly consumed the entire Jolie-Pitt family from the inside out. In public, it looked like a painful divorce. In private, it became a silent battlefield stretching across years. And slowly, one by one, the children made their decisions. Maddox, Pax, Zahara, Vivienne. Each child began distancing themselves from Brad, some with quiet gestures, some with actions impossible to ignore. Zahara was one of the first to make a public statement without saying a word. During her sorority induction at Spelman College, she introduced herself simply as Zahara Marley Jolie. The Pitt name was completely absent, an intentional choice, broadcast on video for the world to witness. Vivienne followed, but in her own way. When she was credited as a co-producer for the Broadway adaptation of The Outsiders, her name appeared as Vivienne Jolie. Again, no Pitt. Quiet, subtle, but undeniable. But it was Maddox and Pax who made the break clearest. According to multiple insiders, both sons have reportedly cut off almost all communication with Brad entirely. Pax in particular left behind one of the most brutal statements ever linked to the family feud, in a leaked 2020 Instagram post that shook Hollywood when it surfaced. In the post, Pax allegedly wrote directly toward his father, "You make the lives of those closest to me hell. You make me tremble in fear. You're despicable." Though the post was never officially confirmed by Pax himself, its chilling tone spread quickly among fans and media. The accusations within it were dark, raw, and deeply personal. Behind the scenes, multiple insiders whispered the same devastating truth. The kids chose a side, and it's not Brad's. Was this simply the tragic fallout of a painful divorce? Or had something much darker poisoned the children's view long before the legal papers were filed? According to one former security guard who once worked for Brad and Angelina, there may have been more going on behind the scenes. He claimed Angelina, while never directly attacking Brad in front of the children, may have subtly influenced their emotions over the years, quietly planting seeds of distrust, never forcing, but gently guiding their opinions as they grew up. No open accusations, no public manipulation, just years of private narratives that reshaped how the kids saw their father. For Brad, every new reminder cuts deeper. The reminders that he's lost his children. Oh, it's devastating. He misses them deeply, one insider shared. Despite public smiles and career successes, insiders say his greatest heartbreak remains behind closed doors, far from the cameras. And yet, if you thought this family war was the ultimate breaking point, it wasn't. Because hidden beneath the legal battles was a secret pact that may have rewritten everything. But behind the family's slow collapse, there was a secret nobody wanted to discuss publicly. As the legal war between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie escalated over control of their French winery, Chateau Miraval, a shocking twist surfaced. Angelina's legal team accused Brad of attempting to lock her into a non-disclosure agreement, a legal gag order that would silence her from ever speaking about their private battles. But this wasn't just about property or money. Jolie's team claimed the NDA was Brad's way of hiding the darkest accusations, allegations of abuse involving both her and the children. In court filings, Jolie described terrifying events from the 2016 private jet flight that ended their marriage. He grabbed and shook her, strangled one child, and struck another during that 2016 flight. While Brad was never criminally charged, these disturbing claims never fully disappeared. They lived in sealed court documents, whispered in private, but never completely buried. And inside the Jolie-Pitt household, these accusations carried enormous emotional weight. They've struggled to forgive and connect with Brad since the divorce. One insider shared, their mom raised them with love. Once Brad left, it was very hard for them to watch him go to war with her. But while public statements were rare, behind closed doors, something even more powerful was happening, something insiders now call the silent pact. Angelina reportedly never told her children to hate their father. She never forced them to sever ties. But multiple insiders say she told them something simple and devastatingly effective. You're free to make your own choices. I won't force you to forgive or forget. This quiet permission allowed the children to process their experiences on their own, and slowly their choices became public. Zahara dropped Pitt from her name at Spelman College. Vivian removed it in Broadway credits. And finally, Shiloh made her move. The one Brad never expected. On her 18th birthday, Shiloh legally filed to remove Pitt from her name. She hired her own attorney, paid with her own money, and handled it entirely on her own. But what made Shiloh's move so devastating was what it exposed, even without words. By dropping his name, Shiloh was quietly exposing the secret Brad feared most, that even the child he thought was closest to him no longer stood by his side, an insider revealed. According to sources, Shiloh had quietly listened for years to what her older siblings, especially Maddox and Pax, had shared about Brad's alleged behavior. Pax's leaked 2020 Instagram post, calling Brad despicable and accusing him of making his children tremble in fear, left a lasting impression on the younger siblings. Shiloh's legal name change wasn't just about identity, it was a silent statement, a choice. She believed her mother, she believed her siblings, and in doing so, she publicly exposed Brad's deepest wound, that his own children no longer trusted him. Through it all, Brad has remained largely silent. Only close friends hear the full depth of his pain. The reminders that he's lost his children. It's devastating. He misses them deeply, a source revealed. And while Brad's new relationship with Inés de Ramón has quietly strengthened, insiders say nothing fills the space left by his children's rejection. The truth is, even this may not be the darkest truth inside Hollywood's most broken family. The consequences of this long, painful war are now fully exposed. Brad Pitt's relationship with most of his children has deteriorated to the point of near total estrangement. What once appeared to be a healing process after the divorce has, in reality, only grown colder with time. The bonds between Brad and his children, especially Maddox, Pax, Zahara, and now even Shiloh, have weakened to a level few ever expected. Conversations are rare, trust is broken, and any sense of family unity has all but disappeared. Angelina Jolie continues to hold primary custody. Legally, Brad retains visitation rights, but these technical arrangements do little to repair what's emotionally been lost. His attempts at reconnection have been quietly resisted, and each year that passes seems to create even more distance. At the same time, Brad and Angelina remain locked in the seemingly endless legal battle over Chateau Miraval. What began as a dispute over property has now become a symbol of how deeply personal their war has grown. Lawsuits, counter-lawsuits, and financial stakes now entangle not just their wealth, but their entire shared history. With no resolution in sight, it remains one of the most bitter legal feuds in modern Hollywood. Privately, Brad has tried to rebuild a new chapter of his life. His relationship with Inés de Ramón has grown stronger over time, providing him with some much-needed comfort away from the legal and emotional turmoil. Friends close to the couple have spoken of marriage discussions and even the possibility of starting a new family together. Yet even amid this growing happiness, Brad cannot fully escape the pain from his first family. Every joyful moment seems to carry the heavy absence of the children who once filled his life. The abuse allegations that first surfaced from the 2016 plane incident continue to cast a long shadow. Although no criminal charges were ever filed, the accusations remain unresolved in the public eye. Details from that flight are still buried within sealed court documents, leaving endless questions and speculation surrounding what truly happened that day. The legal system may have closed its investigation, but public curiosity has never been fully satisfied. As the children continue to reach adulthood, their personal decisions reveal where their loyalties remain. Each child's decision to drop the Pitt surname has become more than a legal act. It's a public statement, a symbolic rejection of their father's version of the past. And Shiloh's choice to legally remove Pitt from her name marked perhaps the most painful and personal rejection yet. Can these wounds ever heal? Or have too many secrets poisoned any path back? One source summed it up best. Brad may build a new life, but the shadow of what he's lost will always follow him. And if even half of these allegations are true, it changes everything we thought we knew about Hollywood's most picture-perfect family. Yet behind closed doors, many believe the deepest secrets still remain hidden, waiting for their moment to come crashing into public view. This may only be the start of Hollywood's biggest family fallout. Click the video on screen for even deeper secrets. If you want more exclusive Hollywood breakdowns, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one of them.